Deep in the heart of the Philippines, there's a city where history isn't just locked away in museums. It's right there on every street corner. We're talking about Iloilo, a place where the past is literally built into the grand facades of its incredible ancestral homes.
So let's just jump right in. Why? Why does this one city have so many of these sprawling, frankly jaw-dropping ancestral mansions? Well, we're about to piece together the puzzle.
Okay, clue number one. These were not just any houses. These were practically palaces built on a mountain of sugar.
And the people who lived inside these walls? Oh, they weren't just local figures. We're talking about families that would literally go on to shape the entire nation.
Because that's the thing you gotta understand. The story of these mansions isn't just about Iloilo. It's the story of how the modern Philippines was built one opulent stone at a time.
All right, let's get into it. To really understand the mansions, you have to follow the money. And back in 19th century Iloilo, that money was sweet, sticky, and it all came from sugarcane.
And these were the guys at the top, the sugar barons. Now here's a really interesting twist. Most of their massive sugar plantations were actually on the next island over, in Negros. But they chose to build their grand family homes right here in Iloilo, because that's where the action was, the international port, the banks, and all of high society.
And you can see the exact moment that lit the fuse. The minute the British Vice Consul, Nicholas Loney, got the port of Iloilo opened up to the world, it set off an insane chain reaction. Suddenly, Ilolongo sugar could be shipped anywhere, and the wealth that came flooding back in was just unimaginable. It completely transformed Iloilo into the undisputed Queen City of the South.
So now, let's meet the stars of our show. We're going to take a little tour of the 5 most iconic heritage houses in Iloilo. I like to call them the 5 pillars because they really do hold up the city's historical identity. And what's cool is that each one has a totally different personality and a fascinating story.
First up, we've got the Molo Mansion. If you've seen a picture of an Iloilo mansion, it's probably this one. Built back in 1926, it sits perfectly right across from the famous Molo Church. It's been beautifully restored and, it once hosted presidents. Today it welcomes everybody as this awesome cultural shop and cafe.
Okay, next we are moving on to what is, hands down, the most regal, the most royal of them all, Nelly's Garden. I mean, look at this place. Finished in 1928, it looks more like a palace than a family home. It is so grand and so important that it's been declared a National Historical Landmark. It really is the queen of heritage houses.
And now for a bit of a darker chapter. The Lazarus Mansion. Built in 1937, its life was completely upended during World War II when it was seized by the Japanese army and used as their headquarters. That dark history has led to countless ghost stories and local legends, which kind of adds this layer of mystery to its beautiful white facade.
All right, from the eerie to the edible, the Camina Balanya Bato is a completely different experience. It's what you'd call a living museum. Built way back in 1865, the original family still lives here. And the best part? History isn't just something you look at, it's something you can taste. They serve you this incredible, thick, traditional hot chocolate and local food right in the ancestral dining room.
And for our last stop, we're going way, way back to the oldest of the bunch, Casa Marikit. Built in 1803, this place feels so authentic. It's a perfect example of a Filipino house of stone with all this dark, unpainted wood. It was actually the home of a Philippine vice president. And in this really cool twist of old meets new, this 200-plus-year-old house is now partly powered by modern solar panels.
So when you lay it all out like this, you really get it. Each of these 5 pillars shows you a completely different side of Iloilo's story. You've got the popular one, the royal one, the haunted one, the foodie one, and the ancient one. Together, they give you this incredibly rich picture of the city. But this brings up a really big question. I mean, after a world war, massive economic changes, and just the sheer passage of time, how on earth are these amazing buildings still standing for us to see today?
Well, the first part of the answer is, honestly, a tragic twist of fate. Unlike Manila, which was the second most devastated Allied city in all of World War II right after Warsaw, Iloilo was largely spared from the kind of bombing that completely flattened the capital. So, a stroke of luck really preserved its architectural history.
But luck is never the whole story. The real secret weapon for their survival is this amazing Ilonggo culture of adaptive reuse. Instead of looking at these huge, old buildings as a problem to be torn down, the community saw them as an opportunity, a chance to give them a new life and a new purpose.
I mean, just look at this transformation. The Lizares Mansion, a place once used for wartime command and control, is now the chapel for a school, a place of peace, prayer, and learning. That is an incredibly powerful way to reclaim a space.
And here's a different, but just as brilliant kind of transformation. The Molo Mansion was a private home, and it was on the verge of just falling apart. But by being sold and turned into a public cultural hub, it was saved. Its legacy can now be shared with everyone, not just one family.
So what's the big takeaway here? Why does all of this matter? It matters because these aren't just pretty buildings. They were the actual physical foundations for families who didn't just stay in Iloilo, they went on to build huge parts of the modern Philippines. Just think about the Lopez family from Nelly's Garden. The enormous wealth that came from sugar directly funded the ambitions of the Lopez brothers, who would go on to co-found ABS-CBN, the nation's biggest media company, and lead its largest energy company, Meralco.
And the Kaminya Balay nga Bato? Yeah, the hot chocolate is amazing, but that house also produced one of the country's greatest legal minds, Ramon Avancenia, who served as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for more than 15 years.
And the families connected to the Molo Mansion? The Yusay Consings and the Montanolas became absolute titans of finance, with family members leading one of the oldest and most powerful banks in the entire country, the Bank of the Philippine Islands.
So you see, these mansions are so much more than just beautiful tourist spots. They are the literal cornerstones of national empires, in media, in justice, and in finance. It really leaves you with one final thought, doesn't it? If these walls have seen the birth of so many incredible legacies, what other stories about building a nation are they still waiting to tell?